Cancer, hello there, my beautiful friends. We're going to do your general tarot reading for mid-March 2025. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I appreciate each and every single one of you. So let's get right down to business as always and start you off with an oracle card here, just so we could dip our toes in the energy and see what's happening for the lovely Cancerians. Hope you're all doing fabulous and fantastic, my friends. Let's get it going here. My guide spirit team, talk to me. What do we got for the Cancer collective in mid-March? What energies, messages, insights can we take a little peek at? And yeah, we're just going to take a real quick look at this first card. Then we'll get into the full reading itself. And at the very end, I'll pull you a bonus card from the Shadowland Tarot, just to see what might be in the shadows or what shadow work you can lean into, which is always interesting. But let's get it going. Let's rock and see what we got for Cancer in mid-March. What's the vibe? What's the energy swirling all around here for my good friends? What do we got happening? All right, yeah. Before I could even finish talking, the card popped out. So that happened quick. We do have the Magician. And this card does have a lot of similarities to the Magician within the tarot deck. There are some stark differences with this one, though. It does have a bit of a different complexion. I love it for its manifestation properties, so that's a good thing. But before we fully dive into that, if you're new here, I'll be speaking about the March subscriber surprise towards the end, so you might want to check that out. Also, if you could kindly illuminate that like button by tapping it right on its third eye, you know, I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough of the promo, into the reading. Let's talk more in depth about this card. So as you can see, we have that handsome Magician right there doing all sorts of magic tricks. And just like the Magician in the tarot deck, it does have ties to spirituality with the white dove showing up there. It is all about manifesting and creating. So just knowing this time, I mean, we're all creator beings regardless of our zodiac sign, but for the Cancerians, now might be extra magnetic. Your powers to manifest could be heightened when this card leads off. So just monitor your thoughts, try to focus on long-term goals or things that you want in the end, which could be really good with this. There could be certain magnetism about you in general when the Magician shows up. But the big difference with this card as opposed to the other one, this one has undertones of illusion. Okay, so illusionary energy could sometimes represent the unknown, the unexpected, but there is cautions with it as well, because it's like, hey, look at this hand, while the other one's doing something different. So watch out for illusions or people trying to pull a hoodwink over your eyes. But we'll see what that's about. I'm not going to turn it into a negative. It's just like all might not be what it seems when that card shows up. So if your intuition's telling you something, but we're just going to put them down right there. Let's get into tarot. And yeah, I always say that first card, it doesn't make or break the reading. It's just a little footnote. So let's get you 3 tarot cards in the upright. Then we'll get into that intuitive juiciness. Shuffle it up one time here for the Cancerians. What do we got? And while we get this deck shuffled up and ready to go, let's talk about last week's reading. It was titled A Big Return. All right, so just know that that energy could bleed over for a couple weeks, whether it's individuals popping back up or situations that you've dealt with or similar things where it's like, oh, all right, I thought I solved that. It was like an energy of things cycling back around. And normally that energy could stick around for a little bit. But we're going to see what we have for you this week. As you know, energy is very fluid, never set in stone. So only take this how it hits for you, because we could be seeing your vibe or somebody else's, right? Let's get it going. 3 cards for my Cancer friends. What is happening? What is going on? There we go. Thank you. Okay. Interesting. So we're starting with an ending. Okay. The World card, it doesn't always have to be bad, right? It could just be a chapter completing, a chapter closing. We're just going to have to really take a look at everything else that pops up. But that is the last of the major arcana, so it's interesting that we're starting with that. That could also be very karmic. Let's get a couple more. What do we have here for Cancer? Thank you. Okay, 6 of Pentacles. This could be good. I like where we're heading. Like, that's the initial thing I'm picking up here with the World, and then the 6 of Pentacles. It's like, all right, I like the direction this is going in. Let's get one more. What do we have here for Cancer, please? Okay. All right. So this spread this week is most definitely looking at big picture implications. So whatever it is you're dealing with right now has big implications on your journey as a whole, or we're just looking at big chunks of time. That's what I'm already picking up. Now, before we fully dive into that, let's go through. I'll give you some of the classical meanings and archetypes, then we'll get into the juicy intuitive stuff. But at first glance, I like the elemental mixture that we have going on here. We have 2 very powerful major arcana. We have some air. So even though that's the water bearer, that's the Aquarius card. So it's technically air. We have some earth energy, which is very complementary to you. And then this strong, powerful karmic energy, which is a little fixed. But I feel like it's pretty mellow for the most part. I mean, we have to see what's showing up in the clarifiers, but at first glance, it's looking okay. And all of these cards do skew towards the optimistic. So it's going to be intriguing to see how all this like plays together. But let's go through piece by piece and really build it out. Position number one, we are starting with a very in-depth card, the World. Now, you see the imagery there, that person, they've reached a completion. And I already mentioned that this is the last of the major arcana. So, of course, it could represent endings, it could represent chapters closing, a culmination, right? So there, it doesn't just have to mean something's on its way out. It could be telling us that a certain journey or a certain chapter of yours, it could be coming to a close. Whether it's soon or in the near future, it could be any of those. Now, that doesn't have to be a bad thing, because when I see the World, I don't think like the Ten of Swords. I don't think like it's harsh and super painful. To me, it's like, all right, we're closing that chapter and opening up a new one. So this, to me, is also a card of renewal, where things rising from the ashes like a phoenix. It's a very good card. Now, it is cyclical, similar to the Wheel of Fortune, so it's karmic. It can represent karmic cycles, karmic journeys, karmic situations, karmic connections, you name it. So we're going to have to look at it further. But to me, it is either a chapter closing or a culmination, something reaching a breaking point, possibly. A challenge with this card, sometimes it can represent cycles repeating, similar to like what we saw last week, things popping back up. It could also represent the world today. So if you're a very intuitive Cancerian, the energy around the world itself, or the people around you, or world events, like big picture, that's what we're thinking with this card. They could be affecting you a lot stronger than you would think. So make sure you're protecting your energy in this time. Now, moving to the center, and it's a really positive card. Normally we have the Six of Pentacles, and we see this person. This is also a karmic card, by the way, because notice they are holding the scales. This is a giving, charitable type of energy. Now, this could represent work, it could represent business, it could represent a situation in general where it's like, no, I want to give to this, I want to invest in this, I want to put energy into this. This is great for career investments and doing the right thing with your finances, so I like that in that sense. But it is also about fairness and balance. Okay, now if we are talking about connections and relationships, this is a card that does speak about either needing balance or having it. I don't know what all of you are going through, but hopefully the scales are balanced and they're not askew, right? Because the challenge of this card could represent something where it's like not equal, where one person is giving much more than the other. Okay, so we're hoping that that's not it, because then that could be a problem. But again, it's giving. So make sure in this time that you're not giving too much of your energy or too much of yourself to something. There might be something you need to tone back when this card is here, and that's not a bad thing. In its roughest sense, in its worst case scenario, it could represent things that aren't quite fair either. So there might be certain situations where you're like, all right, that's not right, that's not fair. But we will see. I also link this card to gift giving and surprises. I know that one's a little out of left field, but when I see the Six of Pentacles, I think of gift giving and surprises. Now, onto the back end, we have the Star. Normally, this is a beautiful card of wish fulfillment. If you're connected to an Aquarius, this could be them showing up here in a very big way. But the Star, to me, aside from wish fulfillment, is the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Long-term goals, something that we're working towards, something that we're pushing towards. This is a very optimistic type of card. So hopefully in this time you're starting to see the light at the end of something, or you're feeling optimistic and bright. If you're going through a tough time, Spirit could be trying to tell you, like, listen, try to see the silver lining, try to think positive thoughts. Remember, we had the Magician in the very beginning. Now, the challenge with the Star is that sometimes we could be a little too impatient with things. We don't want to wait, we want it now. We don't want the result in a couple weeks. We don't want the result in a couple months. We want that result right now, right this second. And the Star in reverse can also represent feelings of hopelessness, depression, things like that. So we're going to have to see how it all plays. But again, like I've been mentioning, initially, all of these cards seem to have a positive outline to it. So I want to dive deeper on all the Cancer. Let's do it. Let's jump in and clarify. All right, let's get a good shuffle here. Let's see what we have for my Cancer friends. What is happening? And yes, this is where I go intuitive with the message, which means I just tell you how it feels to me. So feel free to do further research or rely on your base knowledge of tarot, because as you know, every single reading is about the reader's interpretation, and I'm just giving you mine. Let's go in on the World. Oh, and yes, if you're a reader yourself, please feel free to play along. That's why the box is here. If you're feeling any messages you want to give to Cancer, you could drop it in the comments. I don't mind at all. Okay, why is the world here? Why is the world in mix? All right. I mean, these cards like double each other up. So we have the Death card in the upright underneath the world. Don't be nervous about that. And I always say the Death card to me is more of like a Phoenix rising. Huge energy of karmic cycle shifting and karmic changes with both of these cards like linked together. Now, both of them together can also represent, like I was saying earlier, some chapter coming to a close. But again, I feel like it's optimistic where it's like, all right, it might not be easy. There could be a chapter closing or a chapter ending, but it's like, but what's to come is better. So it's like, yeah, no, we're closing the book on this, but we're opening the next chapter, which feels really nice to me. Now, the Death card does link to Scorpio, one of your fellow water signs. And again, like I already mentioned, it's karmic, just like the world. It represents endings. These cards are like almost one and the same, the way they present themselves. So the big vibe I'm picking up here, if you have been going through a very big time of metamorphosis and change, that could be almost complete. The metamorphosis you've been going through is reaching some sort of breaking point. Either that or there could be various chapters that are closing out. And listen, you're not alone. I've been seeing it in multiple other zodiac signs in recent weeks where it's like, okay, well, that chapter is almost closed. Start looking ahead. Start looking ahead to the future. And I still have this energy of big picture thinking. Don't just think about what's happening right now. Think about where it can lead. That's super important. So we're going to keep it at that. We're going to keep it very simple. So yeah, there could be certain things ending. There could be certain chapters that are closing out, but it doesn't necessarily feel bad to me. And if you have been going through a time of deep karmic change and transformation, that could almost be complete. Now, the journey is never fully complete, right? There's always going to be a new one that kicks off. But let's see what else shows up here for you this week. Very powerful energy to start off when we have the world clarified with death. But let's see why the Six of Pentacles is here. And I feel optimistic about it just because of the star on the back, because it's telling me like everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be cool. So let's see what the Six of Pentacles has. Quick, very first shuffle. And there he is, the Magician, just like we had in the very beginning, right? So the Magician does come and pay us another visit here. So love it. All the things I was saying about him in the very beginning, especially with the Six of Pentacles, just know that your powers to create things, bring things towards you are heightened. They really are, especially since the Magician has shown up twice. But another thing to mention, the Magician has that universal symbol over its head. It is connected to the karmic archetypes as well. So all of the cards, even with the star, all of these cards have karmic undertones to it. Okay, and again, karma is a word that gets thrown around a lot in spiritual realms. It's a very complex subject. It's a complex thing to think about. It's not just reaping what you sow. It's not just putting out energy and receiving it. That does play a part. Karmic energy could lead through multiple lifetimes and multiple journeys. So it's interesting to see how it plays out. But listen, when I see the Six of Pentacles with the Magician in the upright, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. When I see these cards together, it's like, listen, Cancer, you could bring it in. There's a good result coming. So whether it's a big manifestation you've already made, or it's Spirit telling you, like, listen, choose from the menu board a wife and get that order in ASAP. That's a big thing. And I feel like it's very possible, it's very doable. So whether it's work-related, career-related, business-related, personal relationships, doesn't matter. Get that order in ASAP. Either that or the energy is coming in. It's like once this energy closes out, this energy comes in. It's like this energy closes, boom, this energy comes in. Big energy of renewal. So I'm loving it. I think it's good. Even though we have a lot of intense energy and not so comfortable energy in the front end, it feels really nice to me. So let's move over to the star. We'll see what that has, then we'll do a quick little recap before we get into the shadow. Interesting reading this week for you. I'd say you probably have some of the strongest energies throughout the whole zodiac this week. So just watch out for the energetic and emotional intensity. But let's see why the star is here. Okay. So we have the Seven of Swords in reverse underneath the star, and I feel like that's good. To me, I feel like there are certain cycles that you aren't going to repeat. There are certain mistakes that have been made in the past that you are not going to make again. The Seven of Swords in reverse can represent things starting to come into view. Usually it's a shrouded, hidden type of card. It's not the most trustworthy type of energy. But when we see it in reverse, it's like, no, this is true. This is straightforward. You're going to see it. So again, whatever situations you might be dealing with, when I see the Seven of Swords in reverse underneath the star, it's like, all right, well, live and learn. You've learned a lesson. Now process it and move forward. I don't feel someone making the same mistake over and over again. But aside from that, the star with the Seven of Swords in reverse tells us that we may not know what the final destination is, but there's a positive outcome here. And with the manifesting and all the stuff we've seen, yeah, this energy up front, it can be uncomfortable. But the star with the Seven of Swords in reverse, it's like, all right, just try to see the silver lining with things, even if it's difficult, even if it's hard to do. It's not always easy to do. Doesn't mean you have to go around trusting every individual or just trusting the process. But I feel like adopting a more optimistic mindset across the board is going to just really pay dividends for you. So I like it. I like how the energy culminates, and I like how it ends, because it's like, all right, well, you might not know how you're going to go from here to here, but you will, right? You don't need to know every step of the journey. So I like it. I feel like it's good. So let's go through and do a quick recap. Then we'll get into the shadow card here. So powerful reading for you this week, Cancer. But if you kindly look in the box, position number 1, we have the world clarified by the death card. So of course, this could represent chapters closing. It could represent endings, karmic cycles closing out, or possibly just a time of karmic change and metamorphosis that is almost complete. Moving to the center, we have the Six of Pentacles with the Magician. So yet again, more of this karmic archetype energy. Now is the time to get your manifestations in. If you're a regular manifester, Spirit's saying like, listen, something you've been wanting, it's coming in. You're going to get that result you've been wanting. The energy is very supportive here for you to magnetically pull things to you. And it just feels good to me. Moving to the back end, we have the star with the Seven of Swords in reverse. Try your best to stay optimistic. Think big picture, think long term. And you might not know how you're going to go from there to there, but the universe has your back. It's beautiful. So I really feel like it's a very optimistic reading and a big picture reading for you this week. So please take a screenshot if you want to look into it further. Let's see what's in the shadows. All right, let's get a good shuffle here for my Cancerians. What is in the shadows for my friends, please? And yes, I always like to pull one of these at the very end just to see whether it's something within you or something you don't quite see. Shadow cards don't always have to be a challenge. They could be a good thing too. So let's get you one. Oh, and yes, if you made it to this point in the reading, please feel free to check out channel memberships. I'll put a link for it in the comments below. It's a beautiful way to support the channel, and I have much love for all my channel members. Okay, let's get this going here. What do we got for the Cancers, please? Thank you. All right. So we do have a card that encourages us not to give up, but there's also an energy here that could be a little combustible, right? It's the Seven of Wands. Now, I will say this, for some of you in this time, you might be getting a little cabin fever. You might need to shake up the routine a little bit when this card shows up in the shadows. The only big warning with the Seven of Wands is being too confrontational. So if you've been extra temperamental, try your best not to get pulled into like arguments or headbutting with people, right? Because the Seven of Wands can be confrontational. But aside from that, it's a card of determination and continuing to push. And when we get a reading like we had this week, and this shows up in the shadows, there's a certain determination here that I love. But again, just watch the temper. That's the one thing I will say, because this card could go a little wild. And yeah, maybe you do just need to switch up the regular schedule a little bit, or just do something a little out of the norm. So Cancer, that's what I have for you this week, my beautiful friends. Don't click away just yet, though. I'm going to give you the details of the March subscriber surprise. If you would like to book a personal reading with me and get a little glimpse into whatever situations you're dealing with, you can check out my digital calendar on my website, mastermetaphysics.com. The March schedule is up and live. But for the March subscriber surprise, giving away 3 copies of one of my most favorite decks, the Everyday Witches Tarot. So if you'd like to get your name in for this, it's 2 simple things, as always, my friends. First, you must be subscribed. And second, let me know down in the comments, where in this beautiful big world are you from? I'll go first. I'm from New Jersey. And you could just put it down in the comments and you'll be entered to win. And at the end of the month, the winners will be announced in my community tab. As always, my friends, much love, and I'll talk to you soon.